Hi everyone, this is Gary. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to this week's live Path to Prosperity webinar. Just coming off a big 3-day event up in White Plains, New York. It was pretty awesome. A lot of fun and a lot of energy and a lot of learning. So in any case, welcome to all of you, whether you were there or not. We've had a lot of requests lately to go over the school report. We haven't gone over this in quite a while. We also have a property to go over and analyze from Facil from the prior week. We had two that week. We only were able to get to one of them. One of Dan Levy's properties is looking at. So let's do school report first, and then we will go into Facil's property. So hang on one second. I'm gonna turn on my webcam so you guys can see me, and you should be able to see that school report there too. So in any case, real quick, while we're waiting for that to load, let me do this. Let me go to the chat box, make sure you can all see my screen and hear me. So let's see, can you see my screen and hear my voice? So that should be coming your way any second now. And let's hopefully everybody's got some positive responses here. Hey Floyd, how you doing? Hey Floyd, I did call, got your text message. I left a message for Sid. I haven't heard back yet. Hi Maria, good to see you. We just good 2-day retreat through. By the way, guys, we had our third or second retreat of the year for the platinum members. So it was a great session, a lot of good insight, and some pretty amazing things that came up from people. So in any case, guys, hope you all are doing well. Okay. Just a reminder for everyone here, whether you're new or a veteran in the program, a couple of things here, just a little bit of housekeeping. We have to do this every week because every week we have new folks coming on. This is live, it is being recorded. So you'll get the recording the next day. So it's very important that you look for the email from Beverly. In fact, look for emails from Beverly on a weekly basis. And make sure you go through there, because in there she's not just giving you the recordings of these webinars, but she's also giving you important information, scheduling, upcoming schedules, schedule changes, updates to the content, updates to the platforms, the learning platform, the website with all the material, lots of good stuff on there. So you want to make sure you get that every single week, and keep an eye out for that. In any case, everyone is obviously in default in mute mode, excuse me, and that's because we can't have everybody on live talking at the same time. But I will unmute you from time to time, okay? And so if you have questions, you use the question box over here. So I'm going to go back there just to make sure we are all okay. Let's see, we got some new folks. Floyd, you're welcome, Floyd. Let's see, Ed Hazel, good to see you, Ed. Ed, it looks like I may be in Toronto between American Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'll be pretty busy every day in morning hours into the early afternoon. But what I'd like to do is, if you'd like, maybe we can get together. There's a lot of students there in the area, and I know who was it? One of them wanted to do a workshop and have me attend that. So we can talk more about that later. Any case, let's see, Richard. Let's see. Hey, Genevieve, good to see you too. All right. Okay, looks like everybody's okay. So I don't think there's anything else I've got to announce. Oh, I do have an announcement. We've had a lot of great success and feedback on these 3-day events. We are doing one more this year. It's November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Chicago. Look for the information coming out in the emails. It's the last one for the year. So if you haven't been to one, definitely go to this one. Chicago's basically a couple-hour flight from just about everybody, but it's usually a direct flight. We didn't pick it for that reason. I'm just going to happen to be in the area. But look at your schedules. If you want to fly out Thursday night, you can fly back Sunday and join us for 3 days. It's actually a lot of fun, guys. Just ask anybody that's been there. I mean, it's pretty intense learning, pretty enlightening, and I never see any droopy eyes the entire 3 days. It's just a lot of action, a lot of intense learning. So in any case, so let's check here for questions here real quick. Oops, hang on one second. Let's see. That was Ed, says perfect. I see you and hear you. Okay, good. Well, Floyd, the landscape table is presented in portrait. Yeah, Floyd, I can't figure out. I tried to rotate. I rotated this up here in the. You can't see my fingers, but in the upper corner it says orientation under layout, and all it did is it changed the over. It's a PDF. I'm sorry, it's a Word document, but it didn't rotate the score report. I'm just baffled that this is a brand new computer. Literally just got this computer today, guys. Brand new installation of Microsoft. So I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. But I wish I had that where I could switch that for you. Somebody has a hint or a tip, type it in because I'll be glad to get this in portrait view, try landscape view for you. Okay, let's see here. It says perfect. Genevieve, sorry I did not send you back the email, and I'll get it later this week. No worries, Genevieve. Okay, Genevieve, and let me know about Toronto. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a drive, but definitely be there. I'm going through a program that's going to last about 4 weeks, so I'll be there nonstop, including weekends. We literally go every single day, 7 days a week. Let's see. Hi, Gary. Hope you. Hang on a second. Hope you all had a quick question. When you have a chance, would a REIT be better than say 3 individual purchasing a multi in a property? That's from Joel. Hey, Joel. Good to see you, buddy. So a REIT generally, it depends. I think you're saying, is it better would a REIT be better than say 3 individuals purchasing a 3-unit multi together? Not necessarily. REIT generally is for people. By the way, REIT, for anybody who hasn't heard that term, it's REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. Okay, and a real estate investment trust think of it like a mutual fund, but instead of stocks or bonds or things like that, it's got in there real estate. Okay, so generally a REIT, REIT, will buy like a large building, for example, big giant, 100-unit building or a 500-unit building or a development, 2,000-unit development. And their purpose, this is just what I've noticed over the last 20, 30 years, is they generally don't have a long holding period. I mean, some of them will say they do, but they actually sell them, and sooner than I probably would sell myself. And what they do is they jack up the rents, and sometimes they really push the rents, push hard, because when they raise the rents on a multi-unit building, they obviously raise the value. Remember, big multi-units are appraised based on the income approach to valuation. Okay, so what I'm getting at is this: they do that and then sell it for profit. So they buy, short-term hold, and sell. And for the investors, it's usually for people who don't have a lot of time, and they just want to invest with a reputable company that's good at managing properties, which lo and behold lies the risk. When it comes to investing in the stock market and mutual funds, particularly, and REITs, or closed-end mutual funds, which we'll see sometimes holding real estate, is to look at the management team and always track the management team. You want to, when it comes to investing in commodities like that, mutual funds, excuse me again, you want to always track management. Okay, the fund could do great, and then if the management team leaves, all of a sudden the fund might not do so well. And what happens is, believe it or not, mutual fund companies will often try to hire away really good management teams. It's just part of the business. They offer them a lot more money. They ship them on over to the new place. They make more money, and people like us follow them. So you follow management. Follow management. The old saying is money follows management. Same thing with our money. So Joel, back to your question is, when you're first starting on in the business, my recommendation is buy your own properties, because when you buy a REIT, you're not going to benefit fully from that investment. You're not going to have all the gains you would get by doing your own investing. Okay. Now, granted, when you do your own investing, you've got to do your own analysis and put in your own sweat equity, but your gains are usually higher. If you were to buy a fourplex yourself, generally speaking, you would make more money than if you put the same amount of money into a REIT. That's essentially what I'm getting at. The only reason I look at it is because I've been doing it for so long and I'm just so busy. So it's, I'm willing to spread my eggs across multiple baskets, and it's a great parking place for me. I can put money in there, and then when I see something I want to buy myself or participate in, with some of my fellow mastermind members. I'll pull the money out and we'll buy a big property together. But in the beginning though, man, nothing, I can't say enough about guys rolling up your sleeves, getting in the game and starting off, even if it's a little duplex, just start with that. Just start right here, right now with who you are, what you know and what you have, okay? So good, excellent question, Joel, thank you. Good seeing you too, by the way. Okay, let's see, Daryl. Hey, Daryl, good to see you, buddy. Look to your left under home, you will see orientation, click it, and it should turn your page. Yeah, I did that, Floyd. So there's orientation there, it's under layout. I'll go to home. Oh, there goes, see, I lost the, it's not under home, it's under layout. So I go back to layout, there's orientation. Click on that, click on landscape, and there you have it. So it's still, so I'm really not sure. Let's see if there's something here. Hang on one second. Format picture, save picture as, copy, send link, insert caption, wrap. Let's try format. It's going to want me to style or crop, which I don't want to do. So in any case, guys, you know, if I don't want to take too much time doing this, I'm looking for, hang on a second, 3D rotation. Let's try that. Okay, just hang in there, guys. I apologize for taking on to do this, but I want to do this. Hey, how about that? Learn something new every day. Whoops, went too far over. Now let me reduce this panel. Hang on a second. Go back here. Bring this more into view. Oops, hang on one second. Bingo. Okay, how about that? So we got orientation. Let me pull the panel back over so I can do more questions. Thanks, Daryl, for getting me started on that. I should have taken it further a little while ago. So we're okay. All is okay in the world. Okay, so let's do this. Let's jump into the school report, and I want to look at Fast's property. I don't know if Fast was online now. He might be on duty right now. Okay. All right. First things first. High level description. Okay. Let me bring this over so I get more of a view here. Let me just close this off. Okay. School report was originally designed to show real estate sales data based on school area. In other words, what's actively listed and what is sold in the last 90 days. So let's assume we're going to talk about school district for the moment. Every 2 columns represents a school area. So Hopewell is a school area, Butler is a school area, South Butler, Mars, Seneca, so forth and so on. The rows are the price ranges. We generally do $50,000 price bands up to $500,000, and we do 100,000 bands from $500,000 to $1 million, and we do $250,000 bands after that. Okay, the data actually comes from our MLS systems. Okay, so it's the only time we really use the MLS in this entire process. And so what we do, this number here, 35, is actually the result of saying and then typing in the MLS, give me all the properties in the Hopewell school area that are listed as active status of A, right, in a price range of 100 and 150,000. And the answer happens to be 35. And we put that answer right there. Okay. The second column is a sold column. Remember, every school area has 2 columns, active and sold. So the sold column is the same school area, same price range, except the status is S for sold, and we have a look back of 90 days. Okay, we have a look back of 90 days. Now that I've described how it's built, let me just give you some insight from around the US and Canada. In Canada, we don't use the school area because we don't have it available to us. Okay. So in Canada, we actually use sometimes what's called the section field. Section is if you look on the MLSs in Canada, they give you what it's called the section. It's sort of like a, in the US, you might call that like a census tract or an area, the area field on your MLS in the US, okay? But that's what we have to use there because we don't have the school information available to us on the MLS in most cases. Now, another area of the country I want to point out is New York, as I just spent a month in New York, and I can tell you within the city, the 5 boroughs, actually they're counties, you know, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island. Um, if you look at the New York City school district maps, it literally looks like a plate of spaghetti. I mean, lines are going every which way and crossing over. It's just a hodgepodge, and it's almost like they're non-existent because they're literally, if you've ever been to New York, Manhattan is its own little, like an island, right, between the two rivers, and off to the side of the East River, you've got, uh, Brooklyn and Queens, and way up north of Manhattan, you've got Bronx, of course, and of course you've got Manhattan itself. Um, they're literally busing children from Manhattan over to Brooklyn and all this kind of stuff. It's just really crazy. So that wouldn't work there. What we do use in New York City is the zip code. Works very well because in New York City, in Manhattan alone, you've got 142 zip codes. In Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, on average, it's like 70, 69 zip codes in one, 72 zip codes in another. So for all of us in Canada, zip code in the US is like our Canadian postal code, you know, like N6G 0S3 would be a Canadian postal code. In US, it's, 10059 could be a zip code, right? So in any case, we have to customize this based on where we are. Now, let's just go back to the school district. Let's assume we're in a rural area, an area way outside the city, lower population, low population density. We might not have a lot of school districts. So what we'll do there to have a more meaningful report is to make the school, instead of a school district, every two columns could be a high school, or it could be a junior high, or it could be an elementary school, okay? The point is the original design of the report, I didn't create this, I found this at one of our market centers. The original design was to provide real estate data based on something really important to our consumers, which is school area. By the way, one more area that's kind of interesting is a lot of parts of New Jersey. A lot of times the towns are the same as the zip code, and also often synonymous with the school district. So you literally, in New Jersey, parts of New Jersey, you could use town name, you could use zip code as well, okay? But the point is this, is we're trying to provide data, real estate active and sold data by price range, right? And by area, and something significant to our consumers. Something else you may want to consider, like Toronto, New York City again, or New Jersey. Let's take northern New Jersey. People are often interested in where is the nearest train station, because they commute via train, subway train. So what we learned to do at the bottom of these columns, okay, underneath here, we would make an indicator whether or not there was a train there, a train station, because people in those areas are not only interested in the schools that their children go to, they're also interested in where's the nearest train station if they choose to take public transportation in and out of the city or going to work, okay? Another thing we've done at the bottom of the columns is also put in the school ranking from there's all kinds of school ranking websites, probably at least a dozen of them that I've seen over the years, and they give you the school rating or ranking for that school district. Even they give it to the school and the individual elementary schools too. So at the bottom of this, we would put that school ranking. Now, oddly enough, it turns out the areas that have really good numbers, active versus sold, are almost always the great school area. It's just it's synonymous. I mean, people are voting with their dollars. They're telling you how how and whether they're buying homes, whether or not that they think that's a good area. Okay, because they do the research too. Consumers today are far more informed than consumers even a generation ago. I mean, my gosh, everything's available via the internet, right? So in any case, back to this. So I wanted to give an example. If we're going to just stop with the school report here, there's other things I can show you about Melissa data, Planning Commission, so forth and so on. But the questions I were getting were really solely focused on the school report. Later on, we can go through the entire process of going from school report to Melissa data, and then to the Planning Commission websites. And by the way, in Canada, we also have Planning Commission websites. The municipalities have them, the counties have them. Okay, I'm in London, Ontario right now. So London, Ontario has its own Planning Commission, and Middlesex County has its own Planning Commission. So in any case, We'll do that another time. Right now, I just want to focus on the school report. I tell you what, let me recant that for just a second. If you guys want me to go forward and show you Melissa data and Planning Commission website while we're doing this session tonight, please just type it in. Just say, yes, Gary, please do Planning Commission and Melissa data too. And we'll just make this whole lesson about that. And then next week, hang on one second. That will be next Tuesday, the 9th. We'll go over Fassel's property then. Let me just double check and see if Fassel's on. Hang on one second, guys. Let's go up to the, hey, Nicole. Nicole Cole's on. Good call today, Nicole. Well, Fassel is on. Let's do this. Don't outvote Fassel because he got, his property got delayed till this week from last week. So let's do this tonight, guys. And then we will, oh, Susan Bye. I'm going to call you right after the webinar, Susan. I did get your text earlier after the afternoon, but I've been in student calls all day. As you might imagine, after teaching for 5 days, I had to have a lot of student calls. So I'll call you, Susan, after the webinar, okay? All right, let's get back to the school report because I want to save a half hour for Fassel's property. So back to the school report. Here is why this data is important. We have lots of reports out there, all kinds of reports. And, you know, especially if you have a traditional MLS system, you've got lots of reports from your MLS systems. Statistics, ratios, days on market, absorption reports, all kinds of reports. Now, if you're in New York in the city, you don't really have a traditional MLS system right now. I've been told by a number of people it's coming, it's on the way. So, everybody breathe a sigh of relief. You're going to get one there. However, if you're outside the city, you know, if you're north up in White Plains or further north, or you know, you do have traditional MLSs, okay? But back to this. What we're looking for, guys, is a combination of sold activity and active activity, active listings and sold listings, okay? So what we want to see is supply and demand. Now I went directly to this area right here. Let me just I think it's Seneca. Yep. Okay, hang on one second. Let me go reduce my panel so I can do this more slowly here. Bring this in full view. Okay, Seneca. I'm going to use Seneca as our example, the Seneca school area. The reason is if I look at the second, third, and fourth rows, I see I have a combination of supply and demand. In other words, second row, 150 to 200,000 in Seneca tells us there's 28 homes currently active and 65 homes are sold in 90 days. Between 2 and 250, 15 homes are active and 39 homes are sold in the last 90 days. And 250 to 3, 13 are currently active and 35 are sold in the last 90 days. So this tells us two things. Number one is we have supply and demand. We know we have people selling and we know we have people buying, and we have the actual numbers, not just a ratio. We have an actual numbers, which is really important because it also shows us the second thing, which is the relationship between velocity and volume and velocity. So volume is associated with supply, velocity is associated with demand. So it's not just that we have supply and we have demand. We want to know how much is in supply and how much is in demand, okay? And we want to see this at a small local level. We don't want to see this across the entire county or the entire MLS system. That doesn't help us. That's too broad. We need specific nitty-gritty niche level data, okay? And that's what this does for us. This is why we like to report. And I use this example because we have, if you look at the second, third, and fourth rows, we have roughly 2 to 3 buyers for every one currently active listed property, okay? So this is 28 active, 65 is sold in 90 days. That means over 90 days, we've had roughly, you know, almost 2 to 3 sales for every one currently active property. What that means is properties are moving. Properties are moving, and that's what we want to see when we're flipping homes. Homeowners want to see this too. They want to see, you know, things are moving because it helps to drive up prices, and home buyers want to be in an area where there's activity, and they tell us that based on how they're spending their dollars, okay? All right, so let me do this. Let me bring the panel back over and check for questions. So hang on just one second. Questions? Let's see. Thank you, Susan, by the way. I appreciate that. Okay, this is PF. PF is asking, yes, planning and Melissa data. Let's see. Susan by saying, yes, dear, please do, because I can't find the equivalent in New Jersey. Okay, so let's do this, guys. We may go a little bit long today. Okay, Genevieve, let's see, Joel, everybody's saying yes. Cedric, good to see you, buddy. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of months, actually. As Cedric, we're actually going to be doing a mastermind down in San Diego, January. I think we were going to have it February, but I think we have to have it in January. Okay, let's see, Susan by. Oh, Fasso's saying he's in the police car. All right, so let's do this, guys. We'll go ahead and continue then with Melissa Data and Planning Commission, and we'll do Fasso's property next week. And Fasso, if you need me to do it sooner than that, just let me know tomorrow, Friday, sometime. You know, we can go over that one-on-one on a. We can do a webinar just for that if you'd like. Let's see. I want to go back up and make sure we got all the questions answered. We've got some more questions, so hang on just 1 second. We got lots of them. You guys are active tonight. Okay. So that was Joel's question. We answered that. Okay, Daryl, helping us out, get the thing in orientation view. So Joel has a question. Okay. Where is the beginning of the question? Here it is. Okay, question, guess my question is, if I have 3 different investors, if I have them pull money together, should we set up a REIT or LLC? Oh, no, yeah, Joel, I'm sorry. I'm glad I saw this. Generally, you set up a REIT. Well, here's one possibility. Let's say you had a lot of properties. Let's say you have an investor who's got, 5,000 units and they want to retire. One possibility is, as an exit strategy, they can create a REIT and put the 5,000 units in the REIT and then sell shares of the REIT. Okay. In your situation, you have 3 buyers and you're asking, should they set up a REIT? But that's not the same thing. And by the way, that's a very advanced technique, Joel. You need attorneys involved. You need Security Exchange Commission expertise. That's not something I would recommend for newer folks. It's quite expensive to do that, by the way. I mean, we're talking a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars. And you have to have the kind of person who has access to a lot of capital through affluent people, uber affluent people. You got to be able to raise, $100 million, for example, okay, $50 million minimum, even in the low priced areas, to be able to have a meaningful REIT for people would be interested in. If you've got 3 investors, you should definitely be helping them buy their own properties. If they don't know each other, I'd have them buy their own properties individually. If they all 3 know each other and they want to form a partnership through an LLC, then yes, you can do that and help them find bigger properties through that vehicle. But be careful as an agent introducing your clients to each other and suggesting that type of stuff. I wouldn't do that unless you were already up and running with a workshop, a regular monthly workshop. Let them get to know each other, build rapport, and then you can help them, guide them through setting up a LLC, and then you can serve them by finding bigger properties. And that's the path you should take, Joel. Okay, excellent question. You're thinking big, man. That's what we got to do, right, Joel? Think big. Okay, let's see. This is Fasso's on duty. Okay, agents in Bergen County, New Jersey do not always fill in the school names in MLS. Yeah, so we know that, Susan. That happens almost all over the U.S. So what we do is we just take what we have. Remember, the school report is simply a guide to using other data. It helps us narrow down based on the data we do have. And the MLS is incomplete data anyways. It doesn't give us all the transaction history for an area. It only gives us what's on the MLS. And we know half the investor transactions are not even on the MLS. So we have to use the other thing, the next tool, which is Melissa data, which we'll get to here in a second, to narrow things down further, okay? Thank you for the question. Okay, within a town can have several schools or different caliber. For example, in Ridgewood, there are 6 elementary schools and certain ones are more desirable by the clients. That's true. So that's why, Susan, we use this because if you think about it, this school right here is probably a good school or a good school area. Over here might not be as good. Look, there's 65 people looking to sell, and only 39 properties have sold in the last 90 days. That's an average of 13 properties a month. And right now, there's 65 of them currently active. That means people are looking to get out of there, and not a lot of people are looking to get in. And I bet if we looked at the school ranking for that area, it'd probably be a lower school ranking. So in any case, back to this. Let's see. Cedric, one more time, especially Melissa data. All right, so say everybody's saying do that. Do Melissa data, do a planning commission. And that seems to be pretty much the consensus. It's Gary. Keep it going, Gary. You're the best. Thanks, Al. You're doing pretty good yourself, man. Okay, you're welcome, Joel. Okay, so let's do this, guys. We know that this MLS system doesn't give us complete or accurate data. It gives us whatever data we have, given it, whatever we put in there is what we have. And we know that not every transaction is on the MLS. So what we do this now is we use what's called Melissa data. So we grab the zip code or zip codes for the school area. And that's easy to do, and I'll show you that here in a second. Okay. If you don't know the zip codes for your school area or town, you can use this tool I'll show you here in a second. It's called zipcodes.com. Okay. Zipcodes.com, which is coming up here in just a second. So hang on, it is. Right here it is, and here's the link coming up. There you go. www.zipcodes.com. Okay, and there's all. It's a very. It has a lot of search capability. Zipcodes.com, all kinds of ways you can search. If you don't know the zip code, which you don't, you're going to be typing in. By the way, check this out. Ed and Genevieve, Canadian postal codes. There you go. There's a link right there. How about that? Okay, in any case, you can type, there's an area where you can type in like a town name or a street name, you know, county, and you can get all the zip codes for those areas. All right, so in the case of a school area, you just type in the school area name and you get up all the zip codes for that school area. By the way, the school district websites almost always give you the same information, okay? So zip codes is sort of an intermediary. We don't go over that in class because it's usually not necessary. And it's such an easy thing to figure out. It doesn't make sense to take up time in class. That's provided by the U.S. Postal Service. Okay, so that's zipcodes.com, which leads me to the next thing, Melissa data. All right, so let's look at an example of Melissa data. Boy, I hope I can blow this up here. Hang on one second. Aha, looks like I'm in luck here. There we go. How's that, guys? Okay, so Melissa data came about as a result of the U.S. Postal Service's Every Door Direct marketing program, okay, EDDM. If you go directly to Melissa data, you're going to get all kinds of marketing gobbledygook, and they're going to try to get you to buy their postcards, and we don't use postcards for investors, okay? Oops, sorry. We do use Melissa data though, all right? I mean, we use the data that they give us. So let's say we have our zip codes, we plug them in one at a time. We bypass the PO boxes, obviously, and we focus on the C routes, or what we call the carrier routes. Now, C actually stands for city, not carrier. C actually stands for city. If we were in a rural area, like upstate New York, we would have more R codes, R001, R002, R for rural, RURAL, okay? And within those zip codes, we get to see the carrier routes, the postal route that the post carrier, the mail carrier takes with the mail through the neighborhoods, including street names and everything. We can see how many people live there. We can see what they make. And more importantly, we can see the average property value, okay? So in our example, we suggested that we only look in areas selling between 150 and 300,000. So what we're going to do now is narrow down our search effort to only neighborhoods that are selling between $150 and $300,000, right? in this particular zip code. There could be multiple zip codes. We're just going to take one as an example. In other words, a school area may serve part of this zip code, part of this zip code, and part of this zip code, right? If you think about a school area, you know, school area lines don't match up with zip code lines. It'd be great if they did, but in most cases they don't. Again, in northern New Jersey, sometimes you'll see that, quite frankly, but more than any other place that I've seen. So in any case, what I'm getting at is this, and I wish this wasn't a PDF or a Word doc, as you could click on this, but these map buttons over here are clickable. So you click on the map button, guys, and it shows you the map view, right? Showing you the postal route that the postman takes through the neighborhoods, including street names. And then what you do is you take that shape. Remember, these shapes are not exact squares or circles. They're often called polygons, just odd shaped things. Well, the point is this is, we know we should be looking between 150 and 300,000 using our school report, okay? So we're going to look for carrier routes in those neighborhoods where the neighborhoods are selling from between 150 and 300,000. In this example, there happens to be one here, 202,000, one down here at 292,000, and one down here at 276,000, okay? We're not going to look in an area that's selling between it's selling at 404. I mean, I'm not saying you can't sell there. You can definitely sell that neighborhood. But the point is, our example told us we should be looking between 150 and 3 for our investor. Let's just assume this is a flip in this example, okay? So we look in this area right here, we look in this area right here, and we look in this area right here, because those are the 3 areas out of the 7 that are selling between 150 and 300,000, okay? So now what we've done is we've dramatically reduced our effort. We've narrowed things down by school area and price range, and we narrow them further by zip code and individual neighborhood, i.e. carrier route, which means we're not driving around on a Saturday looking at a whole bunch of properties, only to find out at the end of the day that we had no business looking at half of those properties. This allows us and our clients to be far more efficient with our use of our time and our energy, and we're using our brains more than we're using our steering wheels, okay? And if you want to be really successful, you've got to shift from using manual labor, driving around in your car, to using this wonderful computer up here between our ears to do more brain work, so that when you're in the car, you're only looking at the best properties in the best areas, right, for your clients. Not the most expensive, not the cheapest, only the ones that are in the areas that the data told us we should be looking at. This is one of the most key things you can do. And this is just an example. I mean, there's other tools you can use. The reason I teach this is because, number one, Melissa data is free. And in Canada, the Canada Post has another process. It's in, for the Canadians, there's your module 1 is different than, it's either module 1 or module 2 is different than the US version, because of how we use Canada Stats, CanStats, the Canadian census system, and also Canada Post, the postal system. So same principle, different tools. But what I'm getting at is there are other tools for both US and Canada. On your websites, you'll see them in the resource section. In fact, in the bottom link, calculators and spreadsheets, and there's a database just for Canada, just for Canadian tools. But in any case, back to this. The point is there's other ways you can accomplish this. I just want to teach you using your own data and free tools so that you learn the concept, you develop the habit of using data. But you can use, if you're a member of NAR, you can use what's called RPR. It's a great tool for producing reports. It just doesn't work well with all the different MLS systems. That's why we don't use it. I mean, I've used it for other purposes, and I have used it in different MLSs when it has a great interface. But some of those interfaces are not good interfaces, and so you don't get good results. This allows you to get good results no matter where you are. That's the point I'm trying to make, is this puts you in control, okay? So in any case, back to this. Well, a great example of a flip area, because I can see there's no apartments here, right? And wherever we have few or a low number of apartments, generally that means strong home ownership. In other words, I bet if I looked at this area, I'll see a greater percentage of people owning their own homes. Okay, and the reason I know that is wherever you have more apartments, you generally have more rentals. Okay, it's just a natural a fact about our business is wherever you have more apartments, you generally have more rentals. Okay, so in any case, let me just pull the panel back over before I go to the third part, which is your planning commission website. Susan, by what does RPR stand for? I don't know off the top of my head because I can't remember, but it's probably like real estate, property reporting. That's probably what it means, something like that. Realtor property reporting or real estate property reporting. But if you go into NAR, you can just under search bar just type in RPR and you'll get it. It'll pop up, and it actually has some really good instructions. We've had a number of students use it. I will give you one example in Phoenix. It works very well. Okay. But up in Montana, doesn't work so well. So again, there you go. I mean, one area it works great, one area it doesn't. You can try it wherever you are and see if it gives you some good results. You can customize. What I'm getting at is with RPR, you can literally create your own reports. Okay. Yeah, Cedric just typing it. He's right. It's Realtor Property Report. Okay. Because let me just back up and make sure I've got the questions answered here. So that's Alfred's comment. Thank you, Alfred. You're welcome, Joel. Thank you. Okay, another one from Joel. How do you use school report for an investor that's looking to purchase rental investments? Okay, let's do this, Joel. What I'll do is I'm going to scroll down and show you another example of Melissa data. So this example here, great area for flipping. I can tell because there's no apartments. This area down here, great area for rentals. I can tell because there's lots of apartments. Okay, so if we look here, Joel, you'll see there's 3 areas that have triple digits apartments. In other words, this area, this particular carrier route within the zip code 15229 has 177 apartments. That one carrier route does. This carrier route down here has 133 apartments. This carrier route down here has 142 apartments. Excuse me one second. So I'm not saying ignore an area that has 60 apartments. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm going to probably focus on these 3 areas, Joel, that have 177, 133, and 142. And the reason is I know wherever there's more apartments, there's going to be more rentals. It doesn't mean every apartment is rented. It just means that, around that area, there'll be more rentals. Some single-family homes, more single-family homes will be rentals in those areas, for example. Also, the mixture or the makeup of the apartment count is the Postal Service doesn't tell us. It could be a mixture of duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes and 20-unit buildings and 50-unit buildings. It could be also people who've converted a basement or an attic or a garage to an apartment too. Okay, all they're looking at is basically what they call absentee owner. It doesn't mean the owner ran off somewhere. It just means the owner doesn't live there. You should just call it non-owner occupied, but they call it absentee owner. So I will literally search in these 3 areas because I know in these 3 areas I'll have the highest probability of finding the most rentals. Okay. So now what I want to do, actually, let me check for more questions here before I go to the third part. Great questions, guys. You guys are, man, you're on the ball. Okay, we answered that question. What does RPR mean? Thanks, Cedric, for that. Thanks, Daryl, also for typing that in. What is the optimal line residential count, average household income, or property? So, Cedric, that another excellent question. That actually depends on the area. So out where you are in Orange County, I mean, you're going to have some high population densities, no doubt about it. So residential count will be high. Salaries will probably be higher than these, okay? Maybe more like in the 60s and 70s. But more importantly, the average property value is going to definitely be higher where you are, right? So you have to look at the area. So remember, Cedric, we can never make the market do something we want. That's why whenever an investor contacts me and says, hey, I want to work with you. I heard you're pretty good. Let me give you my criteria. Here's what I need. As if I could wave a magic wand and just make the market just pop it out. What's more practical is for us to study the market and show their clients using this raw data what actually is happening. Okay. And they can't argue. They can argue with us, but they can't argue with data. This is coming from uscensus.gov and our tax assessor's database. So I don't care if a deal is offline. As soon as that title changes hands, the deed gets recorded, your tax assessor picks it up. I mean, sometimes it's a batch process, sometimes it's a real-time process, sometimes it's once a month. This is updated every month, by the way. Okay, what I'm getting at is this is the real data. This is the actual data. It's telling you the truth. Okay, you can't argue with that. So if what they want is outside of this truth, then we need to take them to another area where their truth, that area matches their desires. I'm not saying you can't find a needle in a haystack every now and then, but we're not in this to get lucky. We're in this to be intentional and be profitable. So we have to use data and share. And by the way, share this with your clients. This is the kind of stuff, guys, you definitely want to share with your clients. Okay, it'll raise the value of your stock in their eyes. Okay, you got the stuff. You're the go-to guy. And more importantly, you'll know how to use your marketing more effectively by knowing where to use your marketing. See, that's the beautiful thing about this, guys. It doesn't give us just valuable information. This is actionable information. All of the marketing that we give you, you know now where to use it. You know the areas, okay? So only use your marketing in these areas. Don't go to an area like don't try to drum up rental listings in an area where there's no apartments, for example. Only use listing campaigns and for rental properties in areas that have lots of apartments, if you follow that. And obviously you can get listings, you can take your buyers there, and you'll have a much higher probability of finding those properties to sell and for your buyer clients. So great questions, guys. You guys you get the gold star for tonight. Okay, let's do this. I want to show you the third piece here. And this is the thing that Susan was asking about. Every area has its own planning commission. Every municipality, every county, they all have their own planning commissions. Sometimes you get regional planning commissions. Okay. Whoops, hang on one second. Some parts of the country will have what we call regional planning commissions. All right. And what that means is several municipalities or sometimes multiple counties will band together and create their own regional planning commission. If you think about it, guys, that really makes a lot of sense because maybe they can share public resources like snow road clearing equipment, snow plow trucks and salt trucks and all that in the wintertime. Instead of every municipality buying and maintaining their own trucks and their own salt domes, my gosh, share them, okay? Save the taxpayer some money. And there are parts of the country that have started doing that about a generation ago. I wish everybody would do that, but I will tell you, boy, the politics is rampant everywhere. My gosh, but between the municipalities within a county, they're like, well, no, we want to take care of our own. You guys are poor over there. You don't have any money. You take care of your own. Well, you know what? Take care of their roads for them for a fee. It helps them not have to fork out the money to buy the equipment, so they save money on taxes. And your taxpayers get to actually make an income, leveraging the assets that you bought on their behalf with their tax dollars. And again, sorry, I'm getting off on a soapbox here. I apologize. But the point is regional planning commissions serve the community very well and also make our lives much easier. So within a region, we can search all kinds of really cool data. So this one here, by the way, no two websites look alike. They're all programmed from different people. So sometimes it's a challenge to dig down in there. And so Susan, to answer your question is, if you were to go to Bergen County, type in Bergen County Planning Commission, okay, you will get a Bergen County Planning Commission website. We don't really want to look at the data at the county level per se. I mean, we can do that to get started. We're more interested in the local level, but what happens is on there you'll see where they provide data at the detail level, at the local level. And the way they do that is they grab a lot of data from uscensus.gov, okay? So in other words, you can go from the county level to the city level and then down to the neighborhood level, which is where we operate. We need the data at the neighborhood level. Well, in most cases, a census tract is almost synonymous or is synonymous with a neighborhood. And if you're really lucky in your MLS system, your MLS, what we call the area field, is synonymous with the census data tract, the census tract field, which is that you have that, you're golden. You got all the data you need at the local level, and it's real true. It's public data. Okay, you get everything. You know, demographics, social graphics, everything, including information on subsidies, how many people are subsidized, the level of subsidization, education, everything. It's just an amazing source of data. So age, everything's out there. So the reason we do this is we want to make sure, because we're investing. Remember this: when you're investing, it's a for-profit business. Okay, and when you have a for-profit business, you have to study demographics and social graphics to know where to apply your investing dollars for the highest good, okay, for the highest and best good. So now, real quick, I just want to mention this. Some people say, well, are we steering when we're doing this? We're not steering. Steering is saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I don't think you should go there. I'll take you over here because that's a bad neighborhood. That's called steering. What this is following our own board's written instructions, which is we should be consulting, advising, and guiding our clients, okay? And the way we do it is provide them with public data. We didn't create the data. We're just providing them data, okay? And let them come to their own conclusions, okay? We don't ever steer anybody, but we do advise them, we do consult them so that they can invest wisely, okay? So in any case, back to this. You can use the example of age, for example, to determine what the largest segment of the population is. So if you know that you have more people retiring in that community, we would use different marketing campaigns. You know, we wouldn't market to senior citizens the way we would market to college students or people in the college age, right? It'd be different marketing campaigns. So in any case, that's how we use Melissa. Melissa data is more of a, I'm sorry, scratch that. Planning Commission websites provides more of a litmus test. It's a validation tool to validate. So far we determined the area, right? We've narrowed it down, price range and school area. We narrowed it further by zip code and individual carrier route. What we're looking to do now is determine the precise demographics and social graphics of the neighborhood so that we know we're marketing properly for that demographic. We wouldn't want to send senior citizens a marketing campaign where everything has to do with people getting out of college and getting married and having their first children. It was not going to work for them, okay? So remember that this is a good service for your investor clients, and also helps you spend your marketing dollars wisely. So you know the demographics, so you know how to speak to that demographic is what I'm getting at. So in any case, that's really this piece right here, guys. This is like the core piece to everything we do when it comes to marketing. We don't market until we do this stuff. And by the way, if you look at the definition of marketing, the definition of advertising, you'll see there is a difference. In fact, in I think one of my books, I actually gave the Webster's definition. So marketing has to do more with research and analysis to determine the market, to identify the market, okay? And then the advertising is how you speak to that market, okay? So marketing is analyzing and defining the market based on data, and advertising is how we speak to that market. And once you've identified and analyzed the market, you will know how to speak to them, okay? So in any case, I hope that helps, guys. That's let me pull the panel back over here and check for questions. We go over this probably several, I'd say maybe twice a year. Oh, by the way, Cedric, back to your question, Cedric. Hang on one second. The optimum kind of mixture of rentals and ownership. Okay, so let's do this. So Cedric, this is just one page of lots of pages. I mean, I put in a bunch of pages in the material just to show you all the data that's possible. But look at this next page here, and look down at the bottom. it actually gives you the breakdown, the percentage breakdown of ownership versus rentership in this area, in this neighborhood. So if you look, you will see there's a total of 2,411 units, individual living dwellings in the area. Some people call these doors, you know, one door per household. There's 2,411 doors there. Out of those, 1,170 are lived in by the owners, and 1,241 are lived in by tenants. What that means is there's slightly more tenants than owners in this area. In fact, 51.5% tenants, 48.5% owners. Okay, and if you look at the population, check this out. The owner occupant units has a higher population than the rental units. So what that tells us is there's families there with 2 or 3 more children in the owner occupant houses, and in the rental units there's usually people with, say, maybe 2 or less. There's a lot of singles, a lot of couples in those rental units. So that gives you a further bit of analysis and breakdown on those units. And if, in fact, think about it, would you market to a single person the same way we would market to a family with 2 children? No, it would be different marketing, different language patterns, different keywords and key phrases. So in any case, another thing, Cedric, about this is this. When I'm looking for rentals for myself or for my clients, I learned over the years to look in areas that are between 1/3 and 2/3 renter occupied. In other words, if 51.5% is just slightly more than 50%, so that's within that range. It's greater than 1/3 rentership and less than 2/3 rentership. Over time, that turns out that's sort of the sweet spot for buying rentals. So if you think about it, if it's less than 1/3 rentership, that means it's greater than 2/3 ownership. Well, that's probably a good area for flipping. You want to flip in areas that are 2/3 owner occupied or greater, okay? And again, you want to buy rentals in areas that are less than 2/3 owner occupant, in other words, i.e. greater than 1/3 rentership. Now, the reason there's a cap on the rentership is this. If you're in an area that's 90% rentals, sometimes those areas might be the area like C- areas or worse. And we don't want to invest in areas that are that level. We want to be areas that are C, maybe some C- every now and then, depending on the certain circumstances. But C, C+, even B- for our rentals. We generally want to flip in the Bs, B, B+, A-, right? So in any case, back to this gives us so much information. I mean, I'll just scroll down here. Look at the volume of data that we get here. All right. You know, citizens with disabilities, civilian non-institutionalized population with a disability. Very, very specific data. ADA data is in here. Really important, guys. Quick tip for you folks who are looking for rentals. In most areas, check with the ADA and see how much, what are they providing? Here, it says right here, check this out. Perfect example. Sometimes ADA will provide approved rents for 3 times as much as the prevailing rate. Check this out right here, right from the government. In other words, if you have a rental unit renting for $500 per month, ADA is compliant. If it's ADA compliant, you can possibly rent for $1,500, 3 times as much that you would get for traditional rent. I don't know about you guys. I'll take 3 times rent any day of the week. And what's really neat is they often give here it is right here. This is what I'm going to tell you. They'll give the tenants the grant to do the remodeling to make the property compliant, building ramps, grab bars, and showers. You don't have to spend a dime, and all you got to do is sign a paper to approve it. And by the way, when they move out, you have the option of having them remove all of those modifications. My theory is this: why on earth would you do that when the work's been done for you for free and you can rent the property for 3 times more than the street value? Sorry, I'm laughing there. But in any case, and also not only that, are you serving the community by doing that? Amen, brother. So if you can serve the community, remember, prosperity through service. Serve first and you shall prosper as a result. Look for the opportunities because they're out there. Okay, study, ask, go to your local municipality, ask them, what grants are currently available. Okay, go on the ADA website, see what grants are currently available. In any case, more data here. I'll just scroll down quickly. Oops, sorry, it was a little bit too quick. Where was I? Back here. Okay, there we are. Let me go back here. Scroll. I'll just show you. This is just a small portion of what's possible. Households by income. Okay, look at that. Households by income. That would be pretty important. A chart that shows you the income per family and the total and the percentage. All right. Let's see. Well, you get the picture. Lots and lots and lots of data. So let's go back here. I hope Cedric and everybody else, that was a real eye opener for you. I know when I first learned this, boy, information is absolutely critical. Education plus information plus action. And when you have the right education, you have the right information, you can take very effective and profitable action for you and your clients. Let's see. Oh, Susan's asking, sorry, how did you determine the carrier routes between 200,000 and 300,000 were they carried? Oh, so Susan, back to the school report. The school report told us we should be looking in the areas between 150 and 300,000. So when we go to Melissa data, we're only going to be looking for neighborhoods that are selling between 150 and 200,000. That's where that came from. Okay, good question, by the way. Let's see, Genevieve, what is ADA in Canada? Montreal. I'd have to Google it. If you want to Google it, Genevieve, you can type in Canadian Disabilities Ministry, something like that, and I bet it would pop up. I've got to call Susan after the webinar, but I can do that afterwards if you like. But generally, in the years ago when internet came on, I just started Googling everything. And I would go down to the library, go to the municipal buildings and verify and validate. And it turns out you can save a ton of time just using your computer, you know. Cedric says, awesome, need some action. Amen to that, brother. Okay, guys, that looks like that's the end of the questions. So next week will be the 9th of October, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I will be doing that from, where will I be doing that from? Somewhere in Canada or Michigan. I either be in Western Ontario or Michigan. I have to determine where I'm going to be. But in any case, guys, for those of you who were there this last weekend, man, good to see you. God bless you. For everybody out on the West Coast, if you can't make Chicago, it's halfway. We get to meet halfway in Chicago. But regardless, we will be doing the 3-day events starting up in February, starting down in like San Diego, then LA, San Francisco, all the way up to Seattle from February up through probably June or July, something like that. There'll be all West Coast 3-day events for a bit. But we will spread out the masterminds. And we got people from all over Washington State to Florida and everywhere in between. So first we did New York, we did Atlanta before that. So the next one we'll jump out west and do it in San Diego. About the same time, all those Northeasterners need some sunshine, okay? And then we'll move up the coast there. And I love it out there, I can't wait. So in any case, God bless you guys. We will see you next week. Oh, we got one more comment here. Let's see. This is, I think I'm trying, my thing's jumping around. Oh, Faisal. Let's see. Yep. So it's good that Faisal was just saying we have masterminds on the mastermind members on these calls here. So it's pretty elite event. The more of you that do that, the more of you are going to benefit. Okay. And obviously, if you really want to, take yours, like, if you know anything about cars, there's something called nitrous oxide. And if you look at racing, you have a regular gasoline engine, which is like at the training program level. And if you flip the switch and turn on the nitrous, that's like the mastermind level. You go a lot further, a lot faster. You just got to determine how much is your time worth. Okay. Let's see. Floyd's going to set up a call. You got it, Floyd. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Beverly. I appreciate your comments. Let's see. There's a Joel. Okay, for the investor booklet, if we don't have our own exclusive listings to show a breakdown of, so Joel, on the booklet, you actually used whatever you can get on the MLS. And I didn't care whose these were. I try to use my own if I could. But the thing is, you don't want to rely just on your own market center's listings, because people think you're just trying to push those. Provide sold ones that have sold, provide ones that are under contract, provide active ones from any agency, because the best thing you can do for your client is to help them get the best property, the best price. So if you're only showing your own, that's not really helping them. Okay, so you show a variety, and it demonstrates to them that you do have their best interest at heart. So that's the answer to that. Show a variety. So, okay, guys, hope you have an awesome rest of the week and a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving for us Canadians up here. We'll be having dinner on Sunday, and then everyone else in Canada, if you want to come down to Toronto, come see me. Just let me know. I'll be there. Looks like Sunday, November 25th, all the way through December 20th. It looks like. So I'll be there quite a while, almost 4 weeks. And I'd love to have you come see me. Maybe some of the local students there will do a workshop or two that I can speak at. So, all right, guys, take care of yourselves. God bless. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.